After doing this for 40 years, this person would have a total of $1,890,000 in tax-free money in their Roth IRA and another $290,000 of taxable money in their 401k. This would bring the grand total to almost $2.2 million. Today we're talking about the two most common accounts out there, the Roth IRA and the 401k. If you're young, you may not have thought much about planning for retirement because, hey, it's something that's 40 years away and you have plenty of time to figure that out later, right? Well, today I want to show you why you may not want to do that and just how costly waiting to get started can be. And if there's already a number of years that have passed by in your working career and you're feeling behind, we'll talk about how you can still make these accounts work for you. Hi, I'm Austin. I'm an accountant and personal finance nerd, and today we'll cover what these accounts are, the pros and cons of each, and how you can make the most of each account to reach your financial goals in retirement. So let's dive in. Starting with the Roth IRA, this is a tax advantage retirement account that you can set up by yourself today in as little as 15 minutes, and it doesn't need to be through your employer. Some popular brokerages you can look up that offer Roth IRAs include Charles Schwab, Vanguard, Fidelity, and others. The features of the Roth IRA itself are going to be the same across all of the brokerages, and the investment options available will be pretty similar, so don't worry too much about deciding which one to go with. Just pick one to get started and know that you can always transfer your account from one brokerage to another through something called an ACATS transfer. There usually is a fee to do this transfer, but if you reach out to the brokerage you want to move your account to, they often will cover this fee on your behalf in order to get your business. So, in getting a Roth IRA set up, there are some big benefits that make this account super popular when it comes to talking about retirement. The biggest one on the list is the incredible tax advantages offered. When you make contributions to your account, you do so on an after-tax basis, meaning that you've already paid taxes on that money, but from there, the growth and the withdrawals you make in retirement are completely tax-free. This account alone can save you tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes down the road. It's sort of like the effects of exercising. In getting started, you may not want to hit the gym or put in the work, but when you pay the price up front, you'll reap the results and rewards later, and in the case of the Roth IRA, this is definitely true, especially when we consider how low the current federal tax rates are in comparison to where they've been in the past. And looking over the past 100 years, I was shocked to see that there were times where the top tax brackets reached over 80 and 90%. It makes more sense knowing that those times were in years of economic hardship and war, but there were even decades outside of those events that had rates still sitting as high as 70%. Can you imagine getting a paycheck today from your employer for $1,000 and the government swooping in and saying, "Thank you for your hard work. We will be taking $700 of this and good luck making the most of what's left." Fortunately, our federal tax rates are much lower right now, so contributing to a Roth IRA can be a really big advantage, as you may pay a lower tax rate now and avoid higher taxes in retirement if the tax rates begin to creep back up over the coming decades. In addition to the tax benefits, Roth IRAs offer a number of other perks, including a wider range of investment options with things like stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. They typically have lower account fees than most 401k providers, and there aren't any required minimum distributions you have to take like you would with our 401k. Now, as great as these accounts are, there are a couple limiting aspects and rules that you should be aware of. One that we've already talked about is that there are no upfront tax benefits for the contributions you make. This can slightly reduce the amount of money you currently have to put towards other things like paying off debt, saving, or investing, but it's money you would have paid in taxes anyway if you didn't contribute to a Roth IRA. Secondly, in order to contribute, you must have earned income from sources like a job or a business, and for 2023, the contribution limit for this account is $6,500 or $7,500 if you're 50 or older. On top of that, there are income limitations that can disqualify you from being able to contribute, which are $153,000 if you're single and $228,000 if you're married. However, there is a workaround strategy to bypass this limitation called the Backdoor Roth IRA. We won't get into the weeds here, but basically the concept is to make your contributions into a traditional IRA, allow those funds to settle in the account, and then convert them over to your Roth IRA. If you decide to look into this strategy, make sure to call your brokerage to see how to perform it on their platform and check with a professional to verify you're doing all of the needed steps, since this is a specific process that needs to be followed correctly. If done right though, you can still maximize your Roth IRA regardless of your income. Finally, because IRAs are retirement accounts, the last drawback is that you aren't able to make withdrawals withdrawals on the earnings and growth of your account until the age of 59 and a half. However, because you have already paid taxes on your contributions, you are able to withdraw those amounts if needed without any tax or penalty. Outside of that, there are a few qualifying exceptions to make early withdrawals, like being a first-time home buyer, but just make sure to check with an advisor if you want to make an early withdrawal so you can be sure to avoid any taxes or penalties. Now that we've covered some of the ins and the outs of a Roth IRA, let's jump over to the 401k. Just like the IRA, a 401k is a tax-advantaged retirement account that is offered to employees by their employer, and they remain with you even when you change employers. It's important to note that not all companies offer 401ks. It's an optional benefit, so you'll need to check with your employer to see if this retirement account is available to you. If it's not, and you happen to be self-employed or have a small business in addition to your job, then you may be able to still set yourself up with something like a solo 401k or SEP IRA that works in a similar way to an employer 401k. Traditional 401ks are essentially the flip side of a Roth IRA when it comes to taxes. You're allowed to make contributions on a pre-tax basis that reduces your taxable income, meaning if you had a $50,000 salary and you contributed $10,000 to your 401k, you would now only be taxed on $40,000, and depending on your tax bracket, this can save you thousands up front that can then be used to save and invest elsewhere. Another huge selling point for the 401k is the employer match. Some employers offer to match a percentage of your contributions, effectively giving you free money toward your retirement. The details of a match vary, but let's say your employer offers a 50% match on up to 6% of your salary. If you earn $50,000 a year and contribute $3,000 to your 401k, your employer would contribute an additional $1,500, helping you boost your retirement savings even faster. Keep in mind that some employers require a vesting period before you fully have access to the funds they contribute, so make sure you're aware of what that period of time is if you don't plan to stay with the company for very long. For 2023, the contribution limits for a 401k are $22,500 and $30,000 if you're 50 or older. Having this higher limit can really allow you to take advantage of some good tax savings now and quickly build up your retirement nest egg over the years. Getting into the cons now, one drawback of a 401k is that because you didn't pay any taxes upfront on your contributions, you'll pay taxes on your withdrawals during retirement. The withdrawals are taxed as ordinary income, so some good questions to ask yourself in deciding how much to invest in a 401k versus something like a Roth IRA are, do I think I'll be making more or less in retirement than I am now? And when I retire, do I think tax rates will be higher or lower than they are now? Of course, these are going to be very difficult questions to answer because no one knows exactly what the future holds, but generally speaking, if you think you're in a higher tax bracket now than what you'll be in retirement, then making pre-tax contributions makes the most sense. If you think the opposite is true, then it would make more sense to focus on a Roth IRA and pay the taxes now. If you want to focus on making after-tax contributions and invest more than the $6,500 limit the Roth IRA provides, check with your employer to see if their 401k plan offers the option to make a Roth 401k contribution. These contributions have the same tax effects as Roth IRAs, but they still have the $22,500 401k limit. If all of that was confusing, don't worry because we'll go over an example in just a minute. Continuing with the downsides, 401ks can sometimes come with higher brokerage fees when compared to other investment options. Even though these fees may seem very small, they can definitely add up over time and eat away at your earnings, easily costing you a few $100,000 over the course of your career. So if you find that your company's 401k provider charges something like 1.5% to 2% in annual fees, then see if there's a way for you to roll over your 401k into a traditional IRA. This will have lower fees as well as open up a wider range of investment options. Additionally, make sure that you don't have any old 401ks with past employers that you haven't rolled over as well. According to an analysis by Capitalize, there are currently about 29 million forgotten or left behind 401k accounts that represent a total of $1.65 trillion in assets. That is so much forgotten money. That tells me right there that there might be some of you who have an old 401k floating around out there you may have forgotten about, or that you were enrolled in a company's 401k without even realizing it. The final things to be aware of about 401ks are just like Roth IRAs, they have an age restriction, so you have to be at least 59 and a half before making withdrawals without penalties. But unlike IRAs, traditional 401ks have required minimum distributions or RMDs that start at the age of 72. This means that you have to withdraw a certain amount from your account every year so that the IRS can finally collect taxes on it, even if you don't necessarily need to use the funds for anything that year. Hopefully this has all made sense so far, and if not, just forget everything I've said up to this point in the video and let's take a look at how you can use these accounts to set yourself up for retirement. We'll look at a scenario where someone is just starting out in their career and has 40 years to invest, and then talk about how you can adjust this if you have less time in your career to save and invest. In this case, we'll assume that this person is starting from scratch and they're able to get an 8% return on their investments. Also, to keep things simple, we'll assume that there isn't an employer match for the 401k, so all contributions are just coming from the employee. So we'll say this person makes $50,000 a year and decides to invest 15% of their income, totaling $7,500. To make the most of their savings, they would max out their Roth IRA with $6,500 and put the remaining $1,000 in their 401k. After doing this for 40 years, this person would have a total of $1,890,000 in tax-free money in their Roth IRA and another $290,000 of taxable money in their 401k. This would bring the grand total to almost $2.2 million. At this point, following something called the 4% rule, this person could live comfortably off of $87,000 a year from these accounts and never have to worry about running out of money in retirement. The big factor in this scenario is that this person has a lot of time for compounding to work its magic, so they only have to contribute about $625 a month over the 40 years in order to make this work. So what if you don't have as much time on your side? Maybe you have 25, 20, or 15 years before you're wanting to retire. What are some of the levers that you're able to pull to still make investing in these accounts work for you? Sadly, you can't hop into a time machine and go back to start investing sooner, but in order to make up for lost time, you can increase the monthly amount you contribute to your investments. If you find a finance calculator like this one that I'll link below, you can plug in the numbers that match your situation to see how much you would need to contribute each month in order to reach your personal goal. So if you had 20 years left before retirement and still wanted to be a millionaire in that time using your 401k and Roth IRA, you would need to contribute a little over $1,700 each month. And of course, the less time you have, the higher that monthly amount will become. This is more difficult than the $600 a month mentioned in the earlier scenario, but this all becomes very doable when the goal becomes important enough to you and you begin taking action today and finding ways to cut back on your expenses and earn more money over time. If you feel like you are in a situation where you are living paycheck to paycheck or wanting to build your skills and knowing how you can reach your financial goals sooner, then make sure to subscribe and check out the other videos on this channel that help go over these topics. But that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this video was helpful. And until next time, stay happy, stay humble, and take care.